want to talk about your transition into golf from football.
Yeah, yeah,
Before we get there, though, you made a couple interesting comments. You're an instructor.
yeah,
We here in the Comeback Cast are always focusing on positive and people making a comeback from whatever
yeah,
adversity it might be.
yeah,
I'm sure your age range of your students, we were talking a little bit earlier,
yeah,
is quite wide. So some in
yeah.
our group, probably some that are
Oh,
young. Uh,
mostly. Yeah,
but talk about kind of how that relationship with your students,
yeah,
regardless of their age, has
yeah,
influenced you, the impact it has on you, and how you leverage that for your own comeback and helping
yeah,
them with their comebacks in whatever
yeah,
case has led them to you.
yeah. Well, I mean, if I can answer it this way, I think like the nature of the game is comeback. Right. This is like there's and you guys have played and
every shot, right?
yeah, Burke, you've played at a high level. I don't. Have you ever played a perfect round of golf?
No,
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 no. And does it vary sometimes hole to hole?
absolutely.
Yeah, shot to shot even, right? Yeah, so I think the nature of this game, I think people think you need a great putting stroke or a great swing. What you really need is grit and persistence because you're going to struggle in this game. It's a brutal game. It's not easy. And you're always going to find yourself, whether it's in the middle of a hole or in the middle of 9 holes or in the middle of a round or a tournament round, you're going to find yourself coming back from some sort of disappointment. You don't hit the center of the face on every shot and make every putt. You know,
How do you
so
how do you convey that to your students and help
well, I
them
mean,
get through it?
I mean, it's something that they just need to know that this is the nature of the game. Like if you can't wrap your head around that fact, then you just need to choose another sport. You know what I mean? Because it's up and down, and there's no trajectory of improvement that's linear.
Yeah.
You may be headed in the right direction, but the graph looks like that.
So
You
we'll
know,
get
so
to one of the where we'll play into that a little bit
yeah.
further on, where we want to talk about one of the rejections that you have with
Oh,
being a coach. But
yeah.
let's get to
I-
Bill. Let's get to Bill
Like which
first.
one do you choose when
Yeah,
you've had a
well,
million of them?
yeah, well, the one that hurts the most is the one that we're going to
Yeah.
talk about. But go
Yeah.
ahead, Bill.
Yeah, no, Chris, I had a couple of questions. First of all,
Yeah.
I think your Michigan State example and things like that, I think everything happens for some kind of reason, for whatever that is. And it sounds like you learned from that, you regretted it, but you also moved on and
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
had a very successful career. One of the things that I heard you say, which I think is really important in terms of your students, but also yourself, is using the word grit and kind of what does that mean to you? How do you look for it, and how
Yeah.
have you found it tied to your success, maybe even your students' success?
Yeah. Oh, great question. I've often wondered, is it something that people are born with, or is it something that you develop?
Yeah.
And I just think it doesn't matter what sport or what endeavor, you better have it, right? You better, and if you don't have it, if it's not something that comes naturally, you better develop it. Because there's just no way around it. You're gonna have setbacks and obstacles. One of the books that was given to me during that time I guess it's a Stoic book or Stoicism book, but
Yeah.
the title of the book is "The Obstacle is the Way."
My favorite
And
book.
it is. Oh, okay, great.
Yes.
Bill and I like the Stoicism. So
Yeah, and that's helped me a lot. And
Yeah.
I used to have a mantra I used to say to myself during those times. And I pass it along to my students. And I say, hey, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Like, just don't stop. Just don't quit. Like, even when you feel like that's all you can do is to get that right foot in front of the left foot. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And I would say one of the time you'll find a lot of stories about wins and losses, but in golf, as you're working on your swing and developing your game, and Burke, I'm sure you can speak to this as a player, that you can hit it. It can be a Tuesday and you're hitting the ball beautifully and scoring well, and then you wake up on Wednesday and you're like, where did my game go? Like, where did my swing go all of a sudden? Have you ever experienced something like that?
Of course. Hole by
Sure.
hole,
And
hole to hole.
right, right. And so I think that's why I emphasize grit and perseverance, even more so than technique. Um, and I use people, I use object lessons and people like Lee Trevino and other players that they didn't have it easy. You know, Ray Floyd and some of these guys, and when you learn their story, they persevered. Like, they had to have grit. They're not country club kids. They didn't have millions of dollars backing them. They were playing for their living, like, literally.
Well, as you know,
Yeah.
we are on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're doing our podcast on today. And there is a great Lee Trevino YouTube story about exactly that. How he was the Burke, you probably know it, you probably know it.
Yeah.
The outlaw, or the fact that he played for money.
Yeah.
And I mean and then worked his way forward.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're right, grit.
Yeah.
Burke, back to you.
Well, talk a little bit, Chris, about how you transitioned. You got us through the football and soccer years.
Yeah.
What led you to golf? Did you have a particular
Well,
mentor or that? Because that's a
yeah.
comeback story in and of itself.
Yeah, yeah. So football was over, right? I mean, I had a brief, I mean, like brief, like 1 week stint in the Canadian Football League. Went to in May.
Don't talk it down too much.
No, no, I'm
I got
talking.
family there.
It's
So.
probably it's had nothing to do with the league. It was me, you know. But I was already hurt, which is, I guess, another comeback story, because during my 4.5 years at Eastern, I had 2 surgeries. So I had my shoulder completely reconstructed and I had my left ankle reconstructed. So for all intents and purposes, football was done for me.
Yeah.
And but I was still trying. And then at some point I would realize, like, okay, I've got to do something else. And you know, but when you're a competitor and you've played sports all your life, and that's what you're looking for. And so I still wanted an outlet for the competitiveness, and I wanted still an outlet to have something to work on, you know. And so golf was the natural segue for me. Again, like I said, I was introduced to those sports early, but ended up falling into more of a physical sport, probably by peer pressure and because of my size. You know, everyone always thought, well, you're such a big kid, you got to play football. And I probably, if that pressure wasn't there, I probably would have chose golf, tennis, or soccer. But ended up playing football, did well, and then transitioned into golf as more of an outlet. And I thought that I was going to play there too. I was competing, I was playing tournaments, I was playing, I was moving up in the amateur tournaments and doing well. And at some point you realize, okay, well, I'm not good enough to make it. You know, I mean, there's just no other way to say it.
How'd that feel?
It's brutal. You know, it's brutal, but you have to come to that realization. Thank God, I was able to transition into coaching and teaching and instruction, and it's such a blessing because I'm actually more fulfilled as a coach and a teacher than I ever was as a player. And it's an honest statement when I say I feel better when a student comes to me, even if their personal best is 100 and they finally broke 100 and they shot 99. I have more fulfillment out of that player posting that 99 than I would posting a 69 or a 68 in my own game. And I never thought that would be the case. You know, you don't know until you get into something. But I like to think that I have a bent towards teaching. I have I'm able to understand the concepts and communicate it simply. And so I can have a student that's 7 years old or a student that's 87 years old. And I can find a way to find a way to match and have those techniques work with their ability and their movement patterns and their flexibility. And so there's a lot of fulfillment in coaching. So it really didn't hurt that bad for that long. Once I fell into coaching, it was like I was home. It was like, this is what I was created for. Like, but I never would have transitioned into coaching probably if I didn't have the trouble playing. and didn't have the
Yeah.
and it's also tough because it wasn't a physical thing that I felt like I wasn't good enough to play. I wasn't good at handling the pressure as much as other people, and that was hard to take.
Thing goes to grit as well.
Yeah, and I didn't know anything about handling that. I thought something was wrong with me when I was nervous and my hands felt like they didn't belong on my body, or I looked down and something's shaking and it shouldn't be shaking, and I didn't understand why that was happening. I thought I was inferior in a way.
Ah,
But now that I'm coaching and teaching, I use those, if I can use the word failures. I
yeah.
don't know if it's
I love the
don't-
word failure.
Yeah, so if I use those to help everybody
Yeah.
that I teach. Yeah.
So, Bill, if you could, you were part of this right before we got started, where we had a conversation, because all three of us, one of the reasons we started this program is how to handle stuff that just catches you off guard. And one of the things that Chris was talking about early on, can you touch on getting him and talking about that story, if you
Yeah.
could?
Yeah. So, Chris, I know you and I were just kind of chatting briefly about the how you connect with your students, your clients, how you really personally invest yourself
Yes.
in their success, and which I
Yeah.
think makes a great coach, just the very fact that you put yourself in. But then
Yeah.
when for whatever reason that person that
Yeah.
you're coaching, they decide
Yeah.
to stop, or they decide to
Yeah.
move to another coach, or whatever, it kind of feels a bit like, I guess, rejection in a way.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you and I, I share that feeling in a very different environment, not in golf or even a sport. So I was just
Yeah.
wondering, like, some ideas that
Yeah.
you have. And the reason I ask is that, you know, people coming into this stage of their lives, and they're, either got to work, or they want to retire, they want to do something, completely different, and maybe want to take up a golf game, and they are lucky enough to get a coach like you, and you help them, move along. And then all of a sudden they're like, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
it's just, I don't want to do this anymore. How do you
Yeah.
deal with the
Yeah.
personal investment that makes you
Yeah.
successful, but then it also kind of hurts a little bit too?
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't claim mastery over that because I do feel it.
Yeah.
And I feel it deeply, I think, because of how much you put into it. I think I'm not a transactional guy. I'm not just giving you an hour lesson for X amount of dollars.
Mhm.
Especially when somebody shared that they have goals that they want to achieve, and I start to pour myself into those goals. I want to help every way I can to push them forward, and to have, and when you know how much you care and you know how much you've given. I remember Andy Plummer said this. I reached out to Andy. Andy's my mentor. At one point, he was teaching quite a bit of the tour players. Burke, you know his mentor, Mac O'Grady, and I was at the first network instruction meeting, which is basically an all-day training, learning about the joints and how they moved and range of motion, the biomechanics of the swing, like very, very detailed, like 9-10 hours of studying one swing and getting in. And I remember Andy saying, Chris, you're always going to give more than you take in this. Like you're going to be a good coach, but just remember, you're always going to give more than you take. And I kind of keep that in my heart as I'm doing these, because you do give a lot.
Yeah.
And just standing out there in the pouring rain, soaked, trying to cover up your iPad and your camera, and the player wants to stay out there because they're just not getting it, and you're freezing cold and you're shivering and you're back there, but you're like, no, I'm gonna stay here because he's gonna get this, and And when you know you're that type of coach to invest that much, when a player decides to go somewhere else, it does hurt. I wish I was better at it. You know, I wish I was more
I don't.
professional.
I don't. Chris coaches my son.
Yeah.
And
So
part of the
Chris,
reason-
so
part
Chris,
of
the
the
time has flown by way faster, or
Hang-
as fast
hang
as
on
I
one
thought it
sec.
would.
1 second, Burke, before we close up, is I want to say about that to Chris, is that is why we pick you as a coach, is that you have that connection. You are invested. We've had other coaches that are just transactional, and transactional is not good.
No,
So go ahead, Burke. Sorry.
yeah.
Well, as I was saying, the time flew by. Chris,
I
you've been
I
a
blew that,
fantastic.
Burke. I'm sorry.
No, it's great. We've really loved having you as a guest. I hope you'll consider coming back because
Oh my God.
there's so much more of your comeback
Oh,
story
we haven't
to
even
cover.
scratched it. Yeah.
We haven't even started. So
Yeah.
I think I speak for Brian and Bill. We'd love to have you back.
I would love to join you
I've heard
again.
so many good things about you because of the work you do with Brian's son. And it's been good for me because up until his involvement, Brian wasn't all that enthusiastic about golf. So you've completely converted him.
Anti-golf.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Sales. Golf
Yeah.
takes people away from the sales territory. So.
That's right. So
Yeah.
it's
No.
been wonderful having you.
Yeah.
Been great.
Yeah,
Great
thanks,
to have
guys.
you. And
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The stories got a little long-winded
Don't be.
there. I wish I could have done more.
Great. Great.
Yeah.
we'll
Thanks,
have you
guys.
on
Good-
again. You can
Come
you
back
can
Yeah.
and
tell
tell us
us more.
more.
I would love it. Nice meeting you.
Right. Thanks so much.
Thanks,
Yes.
guys.
Thank you, Brian.
Cheers.
Yeah, man.